Good afternoon, everybody, and how are you guys? And welcome to my YouTube live once again. Just before I start, I just want to make sure that my audio is okay. Lucky there's not many people here yet, so if you can tell me you can hear me okay, because I have my mic set up again just like last time, hopefully is good. Wow, quite a few people here saying hi already, so let's say hi before I jump into today's discussion. It's going to be quite fun, right? So Morgan from Denmark, good morning or good afternoon. Tony from the Pacific Northwest. Hi, Paul from Cole, Hampshire. London is freezing. You can see that I actually zipped all the way up here with my Santa hat on once again. And I have my heater on, so you might actually hear the fan blowing in a minute because it is quite cold in my studio here. And Dong, hello there from Brisbane. Hello there. And Bobok, hello again from Romania. Casper, hello. And Patrick from the UK as well. And Brad, hello, Brad. Najam, hi there. Paul, wow, quite a few. Peter, hello, how are you? And another Paul, quite a few Paul here. And who's Severine from Orlando? Cool, awesome. Right, audio is good. That's what I want to hear. Audio is good. Petra, how are you? Okay, so before I start, of course, I have to couple of things I need to say first. And first of all, you know that how this live thing usually works, right? You last for about a couple of hours minimum. So I just want to say things before people just kind of drift away. So for those who are here, let me just start off with reminding you the See the World photo and video competition is on, and it's got 3 more weeks before the deadline. So if you guys want to submit your photos or videos or any kind of your creation, you're very welcome to do that in the very very soon before it ends. Yeah, remember there are lots of prizes to be won, and hopefully you guys will win something, and good luck to that. So that will be really awesome. So and after this one, I want to also tell you guys about the winner from my Christmas giveaway. Okay, I have randomly draw the a winner from the the whole bunch of participants, from the bottom of the comment sections there. Just have to remind you guys though, is that the giveaway wasn't about the entire collection that I was showing in the video. I actually did say that it was winning for the Zpon's Micro 2 power slider. That's the giveaway. So the guy who actually won the power slider is Sean Fleeton. Thank you for entering, and congratulations, you have won the Zpon Micro 2 power slider. So if you want to claim your prize, please send me your details. Your postal address and your name and contact telephone number is needed because for international shipping. So if you send me all your details to this address there, the red35photography@gmail.com, and I will forward it to Zpon, and they will send the prize to you directly. So thank you once again for all those who joined in at the fun there. So hopefully it's an inspirational gift video, so you have some sort of ideas if you're struggling to think about what sort of thing for you to get for your loved ones, or even maybe even for yourself. I wanted to get a 150-400 Pro lens, but I can't afford one, so I will have to wait. Like I said, I might have to sell off a couple of things before I can actually grab that lens and hug it to bed, and that will be my my take on the new lens. Oh, it's getting hot now actually. Right, so once again, congratulations, Sean. You are the winner for the Christmas giveaway. And don't forget, I'm going to have more giveaways in 2021 because I have a lot of prizes here. Actually, not prizes, but I have a lot of things here that I think that it should be made as a giveaway. So stay tuned for all my future content videos, and you may be able to win something as well. So that's cool. Let me just take off all this stuff here and get on with our today's topic. Right, who has read my community post? It's quite a fun thing. I also post the same question on Facebook because I think it's interesting to actually understand why you buy a particular camera or cameras, if you're getting more than one. For me, obviously, I have some genuine reasons, but there are some very personal reasons as well. One I haven't actually told you guys about. I can tell you that it's the EM1X that I'm filming on right now. So I'm gonna tell you all about that in a minute. So let's go through some of you. Oh, quite a few of you guys have joined in as well. Let's say hi to you all as well, before I I kind of bluff away and just completely ignore you guys. I don't want to do that. It'll be rude for me to ignore you. So hi, Kin W Wong from Hong Kong. Wow, that's good. Hello from Hong Kong. 你好，廣東話係可以嘅。Okay, Paul, hello there, Paul. That's good. And Ron, hello, morning. David Harrison from the UK as well. Which part of UK are you from, Dave? And Barrel Burns from Melbourne, Australia. Hello. And John Fallows from Manchester. Expanding Explorers, Santa Cruz, and CA. Good. Christian from Germany. And Victor, hello there. And Slovenia. Kobe, Seattle. Wow. Calvin, hello there. Marco, then Jason. You know, my eyes getting really bad now. The text is so small. And because the screen is actually quite far away from my face at the moment. So John Carter, hello there. 5 years with a brownie in 1960. Great stuff. Okay. So let me tell you my story first, and I'm going to go into your list, because I'm telling you, man, you guys give me loads of stuff to talk about, and that is cool. I mean, that's all part of the fun, right? You know, we all go talk about together. Let me just bring up the community post and can see all the answer, because it's all pretty cool here. I'm going to pull up some of my response from Facebook in a minute as well. Looks like the audio sounds a bit hot here, so let me just tone down a little bit just in case it's blown up completely out of proportion. So, right, why did I get my cameras? Okay, this is the discussions today. I have a lot of cameras, and but for good reasons, because I am a professional photographer, and so I buy a lot of my cameras for work. Obviously, I have different type of shoots and different type of purposes, you know, so that's why I have different kind of photographic tools, whether it's going to be medium format and micro four third, film, digital, you name it. You know, I have a whole bunch of cameras here, but majority of them are micro four thirds. But even within the micro four third, I mean, I have quite a few in my collections here. But just to give you a flavor of it, you know, the one and only camera that got me into micro four third was the EM5. Right, to tell you the truth, before the EM5 Mark 1, I'm talking about the original Mark 1 EM5, before that camera, I had absolutely no experience in Olympus cameras. You know, I did mention to you, I don't know if you actually remember, I said that my dad was actually an Olympus user. So he used the OM1, OM3 back in the days when I was, you know, actually before I was born, I think it was. But anyway, so like that's the cameras he used. So he had experience with Olympus cameras. I had none, zero, nothing. So but like I said, you know, when I was in Hong Kong, you know, I came up from the MTR station and I looked up on the billboard. I saw that the advertisement on the big giant building there, having that big gigantic EM5, you know, that classic EM5, the silver and black. I remember that, and it was just beautiful. You know, that is what got me. It struck me straight away with that beautiful camera right in front of me, and that was really it. Love at first sight. So like, without any knowledge, without any sort of idea about Olympus cameras, I went to the camera store the next day and bought myself an EM5, and that was it. And after that, it basically the rest is history. EM5 got me into not only Olympus as the brand, but got me into Micro Four Third, this smaller form factor, and I got hooked in it. I'm not joking. I got hooked in it. Like I mentioned so many times, after I got the EM5, I literally put down my professional camera, the EOS 5 Canon full frame DSLR. That's been with me for like 10 years, and so I've been shooting with that thing, you know, for forever. So after I got the EM5, I still use the Canon, but only for professional jobs. But for anything else outside of work, I use the Olympus. I use the EM5. So that thing has been with me, like, for all my travels, for all my personal things that I go out with, just because of the size. You know, I love how small and compact, and of course it's really very dope looking thing, right? You know, it's just so cool having silver and black retro thing. It just completely suits my my vibe, you know. And when you go out, and then you get a lot of really nice compliments as well from people who walk past me and say, "Oh, that is a cool camera you got there. It's really cool, you know. It's nice to get some attention sometime." and but having said that, I did sell that Mark 1 because of the Mark 2, right? I got a Mark 2 right here in front of me. Actually, let me just grab the Mark 2. Right, here it is. This is the Mark 2 that replaced my Mark 1, and I got this guy as soon as it came out. You know, I think personally, it's not just about the the gas, the gear acquisition syndrome. It's not about that, but it's more to do with the functionality that they introduced onto the Mark II. And I personally just feel like it just handles a bit better because the grip here is just slightly more pronounced, and obviously the video features is actually better compared to the Mark 1. And it just that couple of little things that made me jump onto the Mark II instead of the keeping the Mark 1. I kind of regretted it because the Mark 1 was kind of sentimental in a way that was more or like a monumental, so that kind of got me into Micro Four Third. So I should have kept that camera, but I didn't. I got the Mark II and I sold that off. But in hindsight, yeah, and I should have kept it. But anyway, this is really the one camera that kind of got me into the professional realm of Micro Four Third. I did not actually use this for a full-blown commercial shoot, but I did use it as a second camera. I used it as a kind of more like a candid stuff, like a behind-the-scene camera. So I was still using Canon and Leica at the time. So in my camera bag, I had three different brands of cameras. I had the Canon full frame, and then I had the Leica full frame, and I had the Olympus, the EM5 Mark II, and with a couple of lenses in my bag. So like, I was using this quite a lot of the time, actually in between shoots. So I was shooting a lot of candid, I was shooting a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And when I got back home, when I load up the pictures, I simply loved those photos from this thing here. And even though at the time, like this is still considering as a lower resolution camera compared to my other options there, because my Canon's already 23 megapixels and my Leica was 24 megapixels. This guy was 16 megapixel, but I love the photos from here. And but remember, megapixel isn't everything. It depends on how big your print and where you're going to present your photos, right? But this is exactly what I'm talking about. This guy here has kind of done a lot for me, not only just for travel, personal stuff, but also a lot of kind of semi-pro stuff. And at that point, I kind of realized that the Olympus camera can perform in a more like a more serious circumstance. And the big thing changed when I got invited by Olympus in 2016, to test as a guest to test the EM1 Mark II. That was the new thing, right? That was before the announcement. So I got invited there to test the camera as a pro. So I got there. I didn't really have too much expectation when I got there, and when I held the camera, first thing I noticed was, yeah, it feels good, Let me I have my Mark II here. Let me just get my Mark II. Right, I have most of my cameras here today, so I will be able to show you all the cameras that I have here. So here it is. This is the Mark II, but this is the silver version, of course. This is the limited edition, you see. And so the Mark II, the grip really feels good on the hand, and it just kind of have that pro feeling of it. It's not slim like the EM5, and the pronounced grip definitely feels more secure, I guess, as a professional. If you want to like hold your camera for an extended period of time, the EM1 Mark II was really that kind of camera. But this is kind of like the first impression, and it also feels quite a bit more solid than the EM5 as well. It's something that is quite hard to tell you guys until you actually hold one in your hand and just kind of like squeeze it around, and then you kind of, this feels more solid than the EM5. Not that the EM5 was bad, but this is kind of like another level, similar to the EM1X. The EM1X is definitely like kind of another 2 levels above the EM1 Mark II or even Mark III series, just purely on build quality. But the EM1 Mark II was that camera that impresses me so much that I ditched my full frame camera. And like I said so many times, before you jump into the conclusion that I'm selling Olympus to you guys, and if none of you are using Olympus or whatever, but I'm not selling Olympus to you, but it's purely from a guy who had not had much experience of Olympus apart from just personal stuff with the EM5, going to test a camera. They didn't pay me anything, I'm telling you. They only got me there to test the camera, and I still have my Canon and Leica. Look, I have those full-blown stuff, right? And I have loads of lenses and stuff, expensive lenses. But when I came out of it, I just found that it is actually pretty cool. But furthermore, like after the test, 2-day test, I got back to the UK, and I got in touch with Olympus UK at the time, and they were willing to lend me a kit, a loan kit, so to speak, and they allowed me to take it to a pro environment to test it. So I had the kit for about 2 months. So I was kind of trying myself out to just use the EM1 Mark II to do weddings, to do portrait shoots and stuff. Yeah, basically after test, I can confidently say that it can replace what I was using from Canon and Leica. The result was history, everything. I sold my Canon stuff, and I still keep a couple of lenses. That's kind of like a sentimental thing, I still have them. But my cameras, a lot of my pro lenses were completely gone. And then, yeah, really, really that is. But one thing that I tell you in my community post, that is my secret on getting the EM1X, right? When EM1X was first announced, obviously you guys saw my video, I was super impressed with it, but I was using the prototype or the pre-production sample from Olympus for a little while, and I was quite impressed with it. Not because of how much faster this thing shoots compared to the EM1 Mark II, not about the build quality, like I mentioned earlier, about like another 2 levels better than the EM1 Mark II, not about that, right? You guys may actually be a little bit of a surprise when I tell you my secret. This is one of the reasons that I decided to get the EM1X. Before I go into that, I was super happy with the EM1 Mark II. Not because of the test, not because I switched over because of this camera. Not about that. It's genuinely a very good workhorse camera that I've been using. It's small form factor, relatively, compared to, you can't really compare to the EM5 or EM10 for that matter. But as a normal professional level mirrorless camera, this is tiny. And I can easily slip into any backpack, any shoulder bag that I have there, and I can carry one camera body with a couple of lenses, 3 lenses in a relatively compact carrying solutions. So I love the EM1 Mark II, period. I love it. But I got the EM1X, it's because, I hate to admit that, I really do hate to admit that. Right, it's because of size. Yeah, I finally say it now. It's because of the size. Right, I don't know about you. I don't know how many of you are let's say, very growing up from the film era, right? I certainly am, and I'm much older than you think. But anyway, so like I remember when I first started photography, I go to the camera store, I got my SLR cameras, the Canon and SLR. I always dream one day I will have one of those professional cameras, and by that I'm talking about the big camera, like the 1 series, yeah, the Canon 1 series, or the in Nikon terms it would be the F series, yeah, the F6, the F5 and the F6. They are the big camera with the vertical grip thing, kind of thing. I was imagining myself having like one of those cameras. It's just big, nothing to do with functionalities, nothing to do with speed or the build quality, the premium feel of everything, nothing at all. Just owning a big camera. It's kind of like totally the opposite of Micro Four Thirds that I'm talking about. Even though the EM1X is technically smaller compared to the full frame equivalents, like the 1DX Canon or the Nikon D5 and D6 series, and it's similar to that kind of categories, yeah. Like basically have a vertical grip built into the camera as a much bigger, chunkier thing to look at and to feel and to hold, and but it's that kind of thing that got me into the M1X is that childhood dream, of me finally owning a big camera. I'm telling you, I have big cameras, but it's just a weird thing, in Olympus, this is not big enough. I put the grip on, it's still not quite there. I need that big camera. I need a giant camera. So that was one of the kind of like really weird reasons why I got the M1X. And you saw my review. I do genuinely enjoy the M1X. I do genuinely say that everything I said in the review about the M1X is genuine, is cool. Like, I love the camera, the features good, all the functionalities there, and the rugged build. How many times I say it's so rugged. I dropped it a couple of times and just survived. But it was the size that got me into getting the M1X. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. Like I just kind of think that the having a big camera, it's just more personal reasons I got it. And I know I could do, like I said, I can get the same shot with the M1 Mark II or the M1 Mark III, and in fact I could get the same shot with the EM5 Mark II even. Like a gear for a competent photographer matters less, matter a lot less than you might think, because you know how to read light, you know how to execute the photos, you know when to press the shutter speed, you know your exposure triangle, you know how to expose to the light, and everything. So technically, the camera, no matter how advanced they are, they're not gonna give you like too much of an advantage of creating the perfect shots. It may, depending on what sort of thing you do, and I'm not a sports photographer, so like the critical moment, like this like super fast moving subject is not really my thing. So for me, I can operate any camera with my own comfort, within my own comfort zone. I just kind of do my things and just create the pictures with whatever I've got. So the M1X doesn't give me that much of an advantage over whatever cameras I'm using, and but I got it because of that one reason that I told you about, and the rest is history now. So I've been using the M1X actually for quite a while now, since about almost 2 years now. Can you believe that? Almost 2 years. So I've not regretted I bought it. I'm not regretted it's being bulkier and things like that. I still managed to slip into my bag and still use it accordingly. And it is a beast to shoot. It's got such a huge buffer that kind of never runs out. I just keep shooting, which is one thing I do like about it, because I do from time to time using a lot of continuous shoot for moment shots, and the buffer on the M1X is definitely way above the M1 Mark II, even the Mark III categories, and so it is quite an amazing camera. And the EVF is bigger, so like for my aging eyes, bigger EVF is definitely better for me to see through the lens. So yeah, that was my secret that I kind of never really told anybody about. You guys are lucky again. You are the very first group of people that I told you like the secret why I got the M1X, and it's all about that big thing, and I got. All right, just before I got into to yours, let's see what you guys think about and what sort of comment you have. Then we go from there as well. Oh, hello there, Kong Sang, and John Cut. I started film photography at 5 years ago with Brownie. Yep. And Richard from Colchester. Hello there. And Zebru. Hi. Marcin Kowalski. Oh, hello. Team server team. Hi, team. Say what? Oh, all right. Okay. I'll tell you that in a separate thing. Okay. Right. John Carter. I migrated to Leica and stayed with film. As it became harder to process film, I stopped. A bit over 2 years ago, the EM1 Mark II convinced me that digital was worth a try. Continued. Well, I personally still love film, and I think that film photography is definitely unique. I wouldn't say nostalgic, but it certainly has some elements that you really can't replicate in digital photography, and also in terms of the shooting experience is very, very different to digital. And don't forget that when you're shooting digital, you have almost almost 100% control of the outcome. I'm going to say almost, but obviously there are, you know the elements that you can't control. But like in film photography, you are very restrictive, and the look and feel of the outcome, it depends on a lot of things that you may not be aware. First of all, is the lens type you use. The lenses, you guys may, how lens can render things differently, from brand to brand, and also from different lenses, or from different era of lenses. They all render differently. So that is one element. And secondly is the film stock. It's almost like the digital sensors that we have these days. They all have their own kind of colors, their look and things. So film stock is another thing that you have to kind of trial and error before you find your kind of favorite go-to film stock that you want to use for your prints. And then of course, when I talk about prints, you have to find a good printer. If you don't use high street processing, you could send it to like a professional lab, and it's a lot of things there. If you have a good printer, they will you kind of work with them. You work with them for the final outcome of your print, and it's a lot of very delicate details and procedures there before you can finally call it a final piece. So there's a lot of things there. It's quite hands-on, quite physical, quite manual demand, and unlike digital, everything is on in computer with a few clicks on the mouse, and it's not like that. It's very, very kind of labor intensive in the old days. But I kind of missed that. I really kind of missed that because of the restriction. It did kind of make you become a better photographer in a way, because you have to do a lot of calculation in your head before you even click the shutter. These days you can kind of leave it a little bit in a way. I felt it myself using digital, because I know it has a little bit of room in terms of highlight and shadow. I could pull it back. I could pull it back in post, and I knew that's how it worked now with digital, because I knew I could I can massage the file to the way that I want, and to a certain extent. But in film, you got less room to do that, especially if you're shooting with positive films. In slide films, it's very, very, especially highlights in positive films. Highlights, if you clip it, that's it, you destroy the highlights. So that's why you still had to use a lot of filters, or you have to expose to the highlight and then trying to pull the shadow back in post, but during development, but you never get the great results on it. So you really have to be very careful of the entire spectrum of light that you're seeing in front of you. Shooting with positive film is really, really demanding, and that's why they were kind of like the pros tool, back in the days, and the negatives were kind of like the general people to use negatives. But anyway, that was the fun thing that I remember. Thanks, John, to remind me of all this film stuff. I hope, especially lockdown, I have a mini lab that I can develop film myself, but I really can't be bothered, to be honest. I have kids at home, so these days, if I shoot film, I just chuck it to any of the high street lab. I just leave it for a couple of hours and go and pick them up. I kind of rarely develop my own film anymore, and it's just not something that I would like to do anymore. And also the smell of the chemicals, and when you have young kids at home, you know what I mean. It's not the same. And Calvin, hello there. My basic Sony set was 12 kilogram, now 3 kilo. Excellent. John, my first SLR was the EXA, which was simplified and much cheaper, etc. Right. But still with the full range of Maya and Zeiss lenses. That was 1962. I remember those. I'm not as old as that era, but I remember those lenses, because I kind of like to go online every now and then to look at old cameras. It's kind of my other things that I like to, I wouldn't say collect, but I like to look at them. And if I have a chance, I'll always try one or two of them, and just to see the rendering of these older lenses, and because they're quite cool, especially now that I'm into filming. And if I really want to get that kind of old look of something, you kind of really have to use older lenses to create that, because you can't you definitely can't manipulate the look of the lens. You know, you can't. You know, as simple as that. And no matter how good you are with Photoshop, you can't get that feel of the older lenses and the halo coming out of it. You know, the smearing on the edges, and it just purely the defects of modern lenses. And that's what John say here. I love my EM1 Mark II, and durability and portability are spectacular. I'm 6'3", 230. Wow. Okay, you are tall, man. You're tall. So I would get the EM5, but the EM1 felt so much better in the hand. I guess it's, yeah. This is another thing, right? We rarely discuss about size, relative sizes. We always say that, you know, and the EM1X is huge, and we always say that oh, the EM10. Oh, they're lovely, they are small, they're compact, but you know, not many people actually talk about their size, their actual physical size. You know, like I'm average. You know, I'm not tall, I'm not short. You know, but I don't have a big hand, so I'm quite comfortable with EM5 series. But I know a lot of people with bigger hands, they would definitely find that this is a bit too small, and then by that case you probably want to have an EM1 because it does have a bigger grip. It will fit your hand a lot better. And similarly for a lot of Asian communities, they have smaller hands and they would like to prefer to use a smaller camera. And that is why, in terms of regional differences, you will find that the EM5, EM10 always sells a lot more in the Far East compared to the West. The West tend to buy more EM1 and EM1X series because they are bigger, and then in terms of feel, this seems to be a lot better. But having said that, people still like to use small camera every now and then because of the portability side of it. They don't want to lug around big things, and they can slip it into a pocket and things like that. So I guess, you know, this is the differences, you know, for people to compare. But what I don't like sometimes is when I see people, when I review, let's say when I review a camera and I saw this comment saying that, oh, it's too small, it's rubbish. I don't think it's a valid comment in a lot of ways. You know, it may not suit you, but it doesn't mean that it's a crap camera. You know, it's a physical thing. You really have to try the camera to make sure that it is good for your needs, right? You know, like I'm not forcing you to buy it. You know, I'll only make the video to review a camera, and someone leave a comment like that, I'll always say that, you know, what, dude, you know, like, whatever you say, you know, you can keep it to yourself because it's not really a valid comment. You know, if it's too small for you, it is too small. Then it's not something for you. But you can't really say it's rubbish because it's small. And so it is something that people should be slightly more aware of the size issues there. You know, if it's really genuinely too small, then yeah, you can just skip it. You know, just be nice, just be gentle here. We're not trying to start a war here. I know many of people do, and they're quite vicious these days, the internet people. Right. And Philip, and I ditched my D90, and after seeing the results from my travel EPL5, no regrets EP5 and 3 OMD latest. Wow. So EPL5 was your kind of switch over camera, right? You know, is how that camera impressed you, and then you subsequently got into the Olympus world and got more camera. It kind of like my EM5. That's kind of my switch over camera. And Tony, I switched from Nikon to Mamiya to Olympus because of the size. I ride a Harley and my gear was taking off. Really, 3/4 of your saddleback. And my first was the EM5 as well. Wow. Okay. Cool. Didn't know you got a Harley. Oh, that must be cool. Yeah, I haven't been on a Harley before. You know, I would love to be on one, and I love the look of it. I certainly love the sound of it, but I just don't have that. I just don't have that look. You know, I don't think I could ever want to own a Harley. Not that I don't want it, but I don't think that it's suitable for me. Similar to like whether an Olympus is for you, you know, kind of thing. I love it, you know. It's gorgeous design. I like all the chrome details, you know, and like, yeah, the saddlebag, you know, the leather saddlebags there, and then just the handlebars, the sound, it's the whole package, right? I like it, but I don't think I will fit into it, you know, and you know, I just think that maybe I should try. but I don't think I would be one. And I kind of like it. I kind of like the Harley. All right, Casper. And back in 2014, began to feel that my old E330 was too big and unreliable. I read the specs on the EM1 and thought that it might be good in the field, and I felt that it ergonomic was so okay. So the EM1 was that Mark 1 and the Mark 2. So that kind of got you into the mirrorless world, the now de facto holy grail photography format now is the mirrorless. Anything without mirror, right? And I seriously think that DSLR is definitely kind of on its way out, and I know it's still going to be there for years, for years to come, but I can genuinely see that market is shrinking. Like even like Nikon and Canon, they are the die-hard supporter for the DSLR format, and but they are now definitely can see the focus. They see the push from them pushing the new EOS R series, and also the Nikon pushing the Z series. Just to make sure they have the mirrorless offering. They're also developing a lot of new lenses for that mirrorless bodies as well. So I kind of see that it's definitely going away now, and like I mentioned quite a few times already, the DSLR, I think personally that is already reaching the physical limitations, what they can do, and to advance to the next level. Just imagine a mechanical shutters and a mechanical mirror flapping. How much faster can you make that to work? And the fastest was the 14 frames per second, and a mechanical shutter, but that really was kind of the limit. They can't make it any more quicker anymore. That if you want to go faster, it has to be mirrorless. It has to be electronic, full electronics, full stop. And so I think the DSLR, at this moment in time, the only a couple of things I think that is still worth considering if you're a professional is the reliability, and also the ruggedness. I think this kind of the only two things. But EM1X already proved me wrong. There's definitely on the same level feel there. But for a lot of people who are still looking for that type of tactile feel and also the reliability, I think DSLR still kind of offer that. Time and time again, I heard about the Sony A9 series. They're having problems and things in the field, and they have to subsequently have to take the battery out and reinsert it to reboot the machine, kind of. So fully digital camera still had a slight problems of reliability, and until that is fully addressed, becoming more 100% kind of like never fail kind of camera, and then at that time I think that the DSLR would be definitely the end of days. At this moment in time, I think DSLR is still going to be there for people who definitely need the reliability for them to perform in the field like full time. But apart from that, it's quite hard to see people buying them these days, and I know Canon's still releasing them, Nikon's still releasing them, and but how many people are actually buying them? That's another thing. Especially now you throw into the mix. Now I finally got my iPhone. Yes. So like you throw into the mix, like smartphones are getting better. So majority of people are now using smartphone to really starting to photograph the daily stuff. Just a few taps on the phones, and instead of taking out a camera and things, and the whole market is changed now. Compared to as recent as 10 years ago, everything changed. And smartphone photography definitely has taken up a big chunk of photography market. And DSLR is kind of on its way out, and mirrorless now rising with different formats, and they're now fighting blood and like a bloodbath at the moment. So we will see who wins at the end of the day. But like I said, I think each format has its own place. And like Michael Forther, we are a bunch of people who value space, portability, agility, and also lightweight flexibility of the system because of the lighter weight. So these are things that we value most. There is compromises. If I say there is none, I will be lying to you. The compromises will be lower light performances, but that kind of the only thing I can tell, and maybe resolution if you're really into the high res stuff. I wouldn't say bokeh. Don't tell me about bokeh, because you can get bokeh in Micro Four Third. You have to adapt to the system to get bokeh. And for people who are new to this channel, may not have heard me said this before, I'm telling you, Micro Four Thirds isn't the first small format in the entire photographic world. You know, there are smaller formats professionally, and similar arguments were made when in the early 50s when people are starting to shift from medium format to 135, which is today's full frame. And so when the professional were using medium format, switching to 135 format, they had to adjust to it. You know, they said, oh, I can't get the subject isolation because you know, if I shoot at the same aperture size, you know, you're shooting 5.6 on the medium format and a 5.6 on the 135. The 135 is always going to be less depth of field. You know, you're not going to get the same background blur or the subject isolation compared to a medium format. Same thing happening to full frame to medium format or APS-C. It's the same thing because the smaller the format, the deeper the depth of field, and you got less stuff to blur basically. But then again, I tell you so many times, blurring something using depth of field, you know, using is for creative reasons. You don't shoot 1.2, 1.4 just for the sake of blurring everything out, you know, for no reasons. You know, you don't want to do that. You know, that is completely defying creativity. You know, completely ruining photography because you are taking out a lot of the elements out from the actual photography, you know, and unless you are having a subject standing in front of a bunch of rubbish that you don't want to see, and then you really want to just kind of isolate the subject from the rest of the rubbish, but otherwise, you know, why do you want to blur everything out? You can't see where he or she is, you know. It's no point, isn't it? You know, you want to one other thing about photography is to remember things and to remember where you are, to remember where you've been, what you've been doing, and kind of thing. If you blur things out, that means you don't have the idea anymore. You don't really feel where you are anymore. And then what is the point of taking a photograph in the first place, right? Exactly. You know, and this is something that, you know, people often forget. And if they're new to photography, if they are kind of upgrade from smartphone photography to a more proper stuff, starting to play around depth of field, and they say, oh wow, look at that, I can blur things out. Oh, the blurrer the better, you know. So and then they're starting to develop a habit of shooting a 1.4, 1.2, 0.095, you know, whatever lens you got, you know. They just shoot wide open all the time. But that isn't it. In the old days, in my days, shooting wide open is because of, you know, I don't have enough light. You know, the film, like I mentioned, the film stock, yeah, the film is fixed. If I have an ISO 800 film, is 800 speed film in my camera body, I'm fixed with one speed. If I go into a dark church, you know, and I have to open up the aperture if I want to keep a certain shutter speed. As simple as that. I wasn't shooting wide open because I want a background blur. I just wanted to capture the bloody thing. You know, this is like something that modern photographer just may not have that same sort of appreciations about shooting wide open and what the meaning of shooting wide open. And obviously digital has changed everything. You know, I'm not suggesting that they're wrong, but I'm just saying that don't shoot wide open all the time for the sake of bokeh. You know, like bokeh is not the holy grail of photography. Definitely not the you know, something that you should be aiming to achieve, like exclusively. Definitely not. So hopefully that give you something to think about. Right. Okay, Paolo, size doesn't always matter. No, it doesn't always matter at all. The reason why I bought a camera in the first place was so that I didn't drain my phone battery and have a device that does one thing good, as opposed to a jack of all trade. Okay, so you're trying to be a bit more focused. Now I use a shutter therapy, trademark from Robin Wong, as a full-time hobby. Robin does this shutter therapy thing. Yeah, who are you guys shooting for hobby, you know, and or shooting professionally? I think that photography is a good hobby. It's definitely a good hobby. It could be an expensive hobby, but it doesn't have to be. You know, you can pick up a really cheap camera. You can still go out and shoot something, and it doesn't really stop you from doing things. I mean, time and time again, you go to photo competitions. You know, even the very high-profile one, you see a lot of contestants, participants. They use very basic low-end cameras. You know, and it doesn't distract them. Doesn't really take away the fact that they took brilliant photographs. And let's come to another point about photography is that do you need the best, the latest and the greatest to actually capture the shot? Yeah, in good hands, I'm pretty sure 99.9% of the photographers out there can capture the same shot with whatever cameras they can have, and they can lay it on. They can have the 50,000 pounds medium format cameras, and then they can also have I wouldn't say point and shoot, but they can have like a 500 pound like entry level mirrorless cameras. They can probably do about similar things if they really want to. It's all about adjusting yourself, and then sorry, I did not turn on to no calling mode. So let me just turn it to silent. There we go, no disturb now. And so there you go. I think that anyone can use any camera to do anything they want, but it's a bit more than that. Like the reason I told you about, why I got the EM1X in the first place. It's a little bit personal, a little bit of a childhood dream that I want big things, which is kind of funny. At least the EM1X is big camera and relative small lenses, and you have a secret desire for big lenses too. The 150 to 400. There, you got there, Brad. And you're totally right there. That's another thing. Yeah, the 150 to 400. I mean, obviously, it's a landmark lens from Olympus, and I do want to own it just because of how special it is. But yeah, that fall into the same line of big things. In the old days, same thing again. I remember looking at these magazines, even like watching Olympics on TV. You see these stadiums, you see a lot of these sports photographers having these massive, gigantic white lenses, and mostly Canon. Like you see these massive Canon lenses, they're all lining up there, taking photographs of the athletes, playing, competing. You just kind of feel what it feels like. And even though like it may not be my profession to be in the sports arena, but you just want to try it. You just want to feel, just holding that kit, in your hand, just to see, ooh, that looks pretty cool, pretty amazing, right? And then even though it's not something that like I said, the 150 to 400, it's not something that I would make money off, but it's certainly something I would like to try just to give a feel of it, and also satisfy kind of my desire to finally have something that I used to see on TV. May not be the same size, but kind of similar looking thing. And so I still definitely, like if one day I do get a 150 to 400, you guys will be one of the first ones to see it. I will even do an open box in front of you if I have that, and because that will be something. Yeah, I'm gonna hug it to bed for at least a couple of weeks, just to get my emotions out of the way, and for owning such a lens. That would be quite cool. Even though I have expensive lenses, and in my time, I have Leica lenses that cost 3-4 grand each. I have them, and I'm not gonna sell them now because they are kind of my thing and my collections, and the Leica lenses. But owning another masterpiece, is gonna be something to be decided of. It's just like people who like classic cars, who like cars and in general, and it's something to be decided of. Yes. Now, Jam, hello there. Got the G9 recently. It's quite big, but it's also a beast. Actually, you know what? Yeah, G9 is actually quite big, bigger than the EM5 Mark II. Even though they're actually on the same class in terms of micro four thread bodies, but physically the G9, even the GX5, actually they are physically bigger than the EM1 Mark II. So if you're looking at kind of professional level camera bodies, and the EM1 Mark II and 3 are actually smaller compared to the Panasonic offering. Not suggesting they are worse, I'm just saying that in terms of size-wise, they are definitely a lot bigger, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but a bit bigger than the EM1 series, for that matter. But it's a cool camera. It's got bloody good EVF. The G9 has a good EVF. Tony, oh, okay, you replied to Zuby. Hi Tim, and hey man, I just wanted to thank you for your videos. I got used to the EM1 Mark III. That should be arriving this week sometime. You provided me that didn't need bigger sensors for serious portraits. Thank you, team. And I'm very grateful that you enjoy my videos, and also basically everything I said earlier was kind of made sense to you, right? You don't need bigger system to do the same thing, and as a photographer, you adjust to things, and just like anything, a great professional, not even professional, a great photographer. Okay, let's rephrase it. What separates a good photographer to a great photographer? Okay, is the ability to adjust and adapt to situations, right? And that comes down to a lot of technical understanding about photography, of course, and but also seeing things and adjusting things in your head. Like I said, I used full frame for so many years already, and it's very. When I first picked up an EM5, I didn't feel strange at all, and that's a true fact. I didn't strange. Even though yes, I can definitely see the depth of field is the most obvious things I lost compared to the full frame, but not I didn't lose depth of field. I actually gained depth of field. I have to think positive, but but not about that. Having bigger depth of field is a lot of advantage in its own way, and especially for the type of work that I do. So it's a very things that you have to understand yourself. And then when it comes to starting to use depth of field and trying to blur things out, have portrait separations and bokeh and all sorts of stuff, then you just have to get the right lens and get the right focal length and also the right distance between you and the subject. Without understanding that, and if you're always just comparing a full frame or APS-C against micro four thirds or even medium format, you're standing in the same distance, using a same focal length, of course you're going to get different results because it's different format altogether. But if you want to compare it, if you want to compare in terms of the final outcome, you can see how a great photographer can adapt and adjust to him or herself, by actually moving themselves a little bit, change the focal length, and then adjust to it, and you can create the same shots. So you can never really compare apple to apple and oranges like that. It's really, really difficult. You can get the shot that you want, that you see everywhere who are using whatever system they use. But you just have to get the right gear or just adapt to it using the different method, using different distances. It's no right or wrong here. You just have to, pick yourself up and starting to move around just to find your angle, adjust yourself, change yourself how you think in a micro four thirds way. And if you want to become a good and great micro four thirds photographer, that's what you need to do. Adjust yourself to it because it's a new format if you haven't been using it for long. And similarly, if one day you want to move away from micro four thirds, go to a different format, you have to readjust again. So it's the same thing, and you probably find suddenly think, oh wow, that's too much depth of field now. I need to stop down the lens, or I have to use a different focal length. It's the same thing. Once you're so used to a system, when you move away, you will get the initial shock. Just by looking at things, it's just aesthetically a little bit different. But if you know your stuff, then you simply just adjust to it. I once know a professional snooker player, and I don't know how many of you know Peter Ebdon, and he was the world champion in the UK probably about 10 years ago now. And when I had a conversation with him, he told me even in snooker, you might actually think that snooker is actually quite an easy sport. But when he told me, when I finally understood what he was trying to say, and I realized how difficult it is. Not just about strategy in your head, not just about your skill levels, but he told me how to separate a good snooker player to a great snooker player is the adaptability and the ability to adjust, which is similar thing to what I just told you. Well, what he told me was, which is something that is really true if you are not into the sport. But I can kind of adjust to the same thing for all tennis players, even golf players, basketball. I think they're all the same thing. What separates the great and the good? Right. When he told me, when he go from the World Series, when they go to different places to play snookers, he said the atmospheric pressure and the humidity and density of the actual air affects how the table and the balls, the snooker balls, behave on the table. So as a snooker player, as a professional, if you're competing in a very intense environment, if you can't adjust yourself to that level, you're going to lose. No matter how skillful you are, if you can't adjust yourself to to how the table is going to bounce the ball because of the pressure has changed, the humidity has changed. You know, when you got high humidity, the cloth is going to stick the ball a little bit harder. So that means the ball is not going to roll. So you have to you will have to hit it harder. So a lot of little things here is change everything. But if you can't adjust to it, that's when you lose. You know, same as tennis. I can so see in tennis as well. Tennis, if you go to different places, not just about the service, yeah, it's about the pressure, the atmospheric pressure when it changes. In outdoor, you know, you got wind factors and things like that. Everything's gonna change, you know. So the ability to adapt to new things is what sets you apart from being from a good to a great. You know, and so there you go. These are his words. You know, I took it to heart. To be honest, I did take it to heart at the time when he told me. And it's not just about how much training you got. It's not just about how well you read your book. It's not how much you can execute the photos. It's not just about that. It's about how you can adapt to changing things. And that's how, you know, you can improvise when you're in a very random situation. When you're in let's say you're photographing something, but suddenly shit happens. Thing just collapse, and then what are you going to do with your camera? How are you going to capture that shot? You know, you just have to adapt really quickly. You know, like you just have to constantly thinking and constantly adapting to things, and lighting as well. You know, light changes all the time. This is exactly the same thing. And oh, Mark is here. Hi, Mark. That's okay, no problem, mate. And Michael Lin. Hi, Michael. I had a G9 and an EM1 Mark II, but downsized to EM5 Mark III and the 21.7. G9 EM1 2.8 zoom too big for most occasion. EM5 Mark III with pancake setup reminds me of the one I went to. Okay, yes. I think the EM5 is kind of like a pinnacle camera, right? You know, and for a lot of Michael Four Third photographers, because it really was that camera that popularized the format. And not just about his sexy look, you know, that's obviously it helps, you know, that's how I got into it, right? In the first place, is because of the appearance of the camera, but it's the functionality, the form factor, and that kind of got a lot of photographers on board with the Michael Four Third. It's capable, it's got insane IBIS, you know, not the same level as EM1, but then you got it there, you know, it's enough for most cases, and it's good weather seal, you know, rugged. It's got a lot of pro features there. It just a good, solid, all-rounder camera that kind of suit everything, you know. And I don't have to sell the EM5 now. You probably know what I mean anyway. And the EM5 is definitely that camera. And I think every companies and every product has that one product that is going to change everything, you know. And or I would say I would call it the switcher program, the switcher product, the one that drove you away from whatever you're using. And it's like, let's say BMW, you know, like BMW 3 Series is always considered to be the car that drive people into that brand. You know, it's the most popular, it's the best selling, it's the also the kind of like the most appealing to general people. Yeah, not very specialist, not the high-end sports coupe and things like that. It's just general thing to be desired. And EM5 is kind of one of those products, you know. And you got the EM1, which is kind of like higher end, you know. Then EM1X is definitely a specialist camera, and you got the EM10, which is kind of like the entry level. And but it's something that is not too expensive, it's achievable, but all the features are there. You know, you got a great build quality and the same look, and it's just kind of that product. And I think EM5 will continue to be that camera, you know, in the Olympus world. And no matter how far we're looking ahead now, and or whether it will remain in the catalog, you know, for forever. I'm not entirely sure how many marks they're gonna make, like Mark 10, Mark, I don't know how many. They might change the number at the end of the day, but who knows. But as far as I know, the EM5 is that camera that kind of got people switching, and I personally really enjoy it. And seriously, I still have the EM5 Mark II right here, and of course I have the EM5 Mark III with me as well. And but it is a good camera for me to take it around. And Bobok here, started photography with Leica Minilux. Oh, you got the Minilux. Wow. Great little camera. When Olympus introduced the Pen EP1, it was a no-brainer for me. Love it and bought it. Oh yes, I personally love the EP1 as well. You know, that's an icon as well. That's an iconic camera, the EP1. Maybe I should get a second-hand one and just to do a review on it, just to see how it feels looking back in one of these older iconic cameras as well. Rob, hi, how are you, Rob? Thank you for sharing your love of photography experience. Everyone supports Jimmy and hit the like button. Thanks, Rob. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, mate. Roman's here. Roman's in the house. Hey, how are you, mate? And Paul, great combo. Oh, sorry, you're replying to someone else. You know what? Yeah, the program that I'm using now, I can't differentiate whether you're actually replying to someone. They just all come up. They just all come up. Hello from Belgrade. Hi. Wow. We are going international. That is awesome. That's excellent. Roman was saying that the only problem with Olympus was that Pen F was not weather sealed and a little bit too small for your hand. You got big hands, mate. The Pen F fits me nicely. Look at that. Look at that. Like, I got my lovely wrist strap here. It's actually very cool from Wonder, by the way. And if you like a quick release strap that kind of you can take it off completely, go and check out Wonder's wrist strap. It's actually pretty cool. And I also pinned this Pen F as well. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? I got the I hope he's focusing. Is it focusing? Come on, block my face. Nope. For some reason the autofocus is locking to my face today. It's not gonna lock on the camera. Right. Okay, come on, man. Come on, man. Can you focus? Can you focus? No, it's still tracking my face. There we go. Lose it. No. Come on, man. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. The camera likes my Santa hat too much today. It's not focusing it. Damn it. But anyway, I pinned this up with the Olympus pen decoration kit. Have you seen one of those before? See, I got it here. I know you can you come on, focus. There you go. Pen. Right. It's actually pretty cool, yeah? You can actually get this on the Olympus website, and it's really nice. It really does spice up your pen quite a bit, and especially the shutter button. It's got the actual wood shutter knob that you can actually cover the hole that you use to put the remote wire in. It's really nice. It's got the F from the Pen F, the F actually engraved onto the wood itself. It actually feels good, and now it makes the clicking really genuinely pretty cool. And I love it. I really do. And especially black and the wood color kind of do the good contrast there. I don't know if you can see it there. I'm just looking at the camera now. Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it? Right. Anyway, I think it's a good size for me. Okay. Ron, I use the black Pen F. I use film Leica M for years, but digital Leica M's are above my pay grade. Pen F has a small form factor, and the Pen F has the build for the EM1 Mark II, which is important to me. You are very right there. Having been a Leica user myself, I've been a Leica shooter for a long time. I still shoot Leica. I still shoot Leica film cameras, and but I have to agree with you about the build quality, and not just about size. I think the Olympus Pen F has something about it, some sort of magical elements to it. Yes, build quality is definitely is way above a lot of people. I remember showing this camera to a lot of my photographer friends. Whenever they hold this camera, the first impression they gave me was, "Ooh, this feels good." These are coming from people that I know have been in the field for a long time, and they appreciate the build quality of the Pen F, and that really is a testament to how well the camera is actually designed and made. So this is a very good camera, and of course, when people are starting to use it, they borrowed the camera when we went out for street shoot. They went out and they hold this camera, just play around with it. They all said, "Oh, this feels quite natural to me. I like how the compensation dials there. I like a lot of things. I like the mode dials at the front and things like that. Oh, yes, that's a cool camera." They all gave me the same reactions all the time, and yeah, that shows the Pen F is a very special camera, and for that reasons, I think that I don't think I will ever gonna give up my pen F, and no matter how advanced newer cameras is gonna be, and no matter how it is, the pen F is always going to be one of those cameras that I'm gonna keep for life, and even when it dies, if it does die someday, I would just still keep it as a monument, or just like frame it onto a wall, just to look at it. It remind me how special it is as a camera. I'm a fan of analog approach and digital in the Pen F. This is the camera that brought me to Micro Four Thirds from Canon, especially ignoring the IBIS at the time. Yeah. Oh, so Pen F is your switcher camera. So that's cool. That is cool. Right. Let's see in here. I am the owner of the EM5 Mark III, and travel photography is my go-to photography. Yeah, the EM5 Mark III is super capable. It basically is a shrunk EM1 Mark II, right? And if for people who always love the EM1 Mark II and how it performs, the actual operation, the entire kind of how I put it. I'm trying to find the words to describe it. I forgot the words, but anyway, the whole kind of feel of the EM1, but it's in a smaller form factor, and the EM5 Mark III is that camera. And I've been using my EM5 since its launch, and for all my vlogs, all my travel photography, and apart from the time when I went to Lake District in the northern part of England, and I did take the EM10 Mark IV. That's the time when I had to do the review, and so I took that in addition to my EM5 Mark III. But I think the EM5, like I said, is my travel camera, just because I love the size, and also I love the weather seal of the cameras, and it just performs like a pro camera, but it's just smaller. And yeah, you're quite right there. I don't think I can find any more better reasons to ignore the EM5. My father owned an old Pen HF and the M1, and so I got into Olympus with the stylus one, ditching mobile phone snapshots. Wow, do your father still own the original Pen, the half frame camera, and the M1? Because they worth a little bit now, especially the M1. If you got the original, well, how many of you actually know the OM cameras and the SLRs? I'm talking about the old film camera. Yeah, before the Olympus actually named the SLR as OM. I don't know if many of you actually know. They were actually called the M. They actually call it the M system. They never really talk about OM, and that's how it was born, as an M camera system. So you will still be able to manage I'm losing my words. You will still find the M cameras, the first few batches of the cameras were still called the M cameras. You still find them on eBay. You can actually get them, including some lenses that actually have the M system engraved onto the side, the rim of the lens. So it's actually, they're pretty rare, but they're still there. You can still find them quite easily, and but it's funny because when I talked about Leica earlier, Leica actually sued Olympus, and because they are using the same name for photography tools, for cameras, because obviously Leica have their own M system. They have the M3, M4, so M3, M2, M4, M5, M6, whatever. They have loads of them, and during the Olympus SLR era, the OM1, the M1, it was in the 1970s, right? And then so they had the OM3 and OM2 still in production. The M4 was just about happening. So they have a lot of M stuff. So obviously they just screaming, no, you can't use the M, the M letter. We own the M letters. You cannot use the M. So that was quite a big argument there. And imagine, because Olympus already made the first few batches of the cameras as an M system, and they had to change everything and call it the OM. And but never mind, oh shit, I got something in my eyes. But never mind. So like the it's now history. Now the OM has become one of the most iconic brands ever, right? You know, that's why we all know and love our digital cameras now. The OM digital, the OMD. This all come from that time, you know, when they rename the system as OM instead of M. That is quite interesting. But yeah, if you don't know, just Google it, you know, and go on eBay. Just type in, search Olympus M system film, and they will come up. You know, you find a lot of the M1 cameras, and some will bundle with the M system lenses, like the 51.4, the 51.8, some 28 f2.8, and you find a whole bunch there, you know. But most of them will be in Japan nowadays, and it's quite difficult to find some in the UK. But I'm pretty sure you'll find some if you look hard enough. I'm pretty sure you can find some. So, and Tony, if you ever make it to Washington, I'll let you take a ride on one of my Harleys. Ooh, you got more than one? Oh, one of your Harleys. Awesome. Well, thank you, mate. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I wish that, you know, when the days that I can travel again, you know, I will come down to the States. You know, hopefully I'll have a time off, and I just come down here to say hi to quite a few of you, actually, because you know, from across the pond, because a lot of you guys really have been so supportive to my channel. You know, Rob Track is here, right? I hope he's still here. You know, he's been supporting me all along. You know, and we do a few lives together. Yeah, he's a great dude. You know, I also know a few of the Olympus educators in the States, and you know, we've been in communicating. You know, we've been really good, and all of you guys. And you know, it's just great. You know, you guys supported me. Always come onto my channel, you know, to talk to me, to my live stream. It's just amazing. Yeah, I've been I've been offered so many things, and I just really appreciate that, you know. And like, I could take on your Harley. Someone would say that, oh, I own hot air balloon. I can come onto my hot air balloon. I really want to do that, and these are things that are actually still on my bucket list. And then so hopefully, you know, once that day I can travel again, I'm pretty sure I will take up that offer and starting to travel, and then it's like, can I ride on your Harley? Can I go into your hot air balloon? Or can I do this and can I do that? And well, okay. Anyway, it's good. It's good. Marching in, I only Konica Minolta. Wow. Yes, of course I know that. And then Sony Alpha for the next 10 years, Nikon, and from this year EM5 Mark II, EM1 Mark I. Thanks to your videos. Thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for switching over to our Olympus family, of course. But now, we are photographers, right? You know, and the brand is one thing, but you know, we share information, we share our passion about photography and how we should be doing things as a photographer. So I'm glad that you enjoy my videos, and so thank you for that. Wow, Konica Minolta. That's a name I have not heard people saying in a long time. I have bought a EM5 Mark II to prevent the climate changing, and I think for me is the best for my travel. Yes, take good pictures, skinny and skin tone. I think is, and light good for, skinny. You mean small form factor. Good for my back as well. Better than my old bridge. Yes. Absolutely, and that's one of the strengths of Micro Four Thirds is how much lighter it is. Like you know, I said it so many times now. For people who are Micro Four Thirds haters out there, you haven't tried the system. Don't say you hate it or say it's rubbish. Go and try it before you make any judgment. And in fact, for anyone who want to try any system, just try it first before you say anything negative for any system. I'm just being a mediator here, you know, like I know a lot of brand loyalists out there, you know, who are, oh, I'm a Fuji fanboy, I'm a Canon, I'm a Nikon fanboy, I'm Sony fanboy, I'm Olympus fanboy even, you know, like anything is shit, anything is rubbish, not worth considering. Don't ever say that, please. You know, it drives me nuts every time. Okay, I'm a fanboy. You know, now I'm an Olympus fanboy. You can see that I have a lot of Olympus stuff, right? You know, not just the camera, but like Olympus merchandise. I have pins, hats, scarves, you know, you name it, mugs, and I have a lot of stuff. But I would never ever discount other brands. I would never ever say that is shit. You know, like I said, it's good to have competitions there. It's good to have a variety of choices out there. You know, who is going to be benefit from this competition? We are, as a consumer, right? You know, we buy things because of great things out there, and because of competition, we are driving the technology forward, and that's how it goes, right? If one day, imagine these fanboys' wishes come true. Let's say, I'll bring a real comment from I think probably 10 or 15 videos before. There's one gentleman left me a comment. I can't remember which video it was, but I really remember his comment though. He said Olympus sucks, Olympus should die, and also he said Sony is the way forward, Sony forever. Right. Okay. That's his words basically. So just use this case, yeah, as a future. Imagine one day, one company, one brand takes over everything. Everything. You go out to a camera store, all you see, Sony. All lenses you see, Sony. Are you going to be happy? I'm not. I don't want to be dictated by just one brand telling me what to do, what things to get. I don't want that. You know, you want variety, you want choices. You know, it's the way you go. You know, you can follow a brand, you can be loyal to a brand, but you can never ever do things to other people, and I think it's just wrong. You know, it's a healthy competition there. You know, and they're all fighting for market shares. You know, but it's a healthy competition. You know, you invent something good, I beat you in terms of technology. I beat you with that. You know, this is a good inventive competitions there. You know, and it shows the engineering, the R&D departments trying to, you know, outsmart each other, you know, but it's a very good thing to do, just like athletes on the field, you know, and they compete because they train hard, you know, they need to win the competitions, you know, but it doesn't mean that he always wins, right, you know, but it's good to see different winners all the time, you know, give you a bit of variety there. So that's my take on it. You know, and the Olympus doesn't always win. So is Sony, so is Canon, so is Nikon, so is Fuji. Same thing. You know, they don't always win. You know, the IBIS has always been the strength of Olympus cameras. Period. You know, no one can argue that. You know, IBIS is kind of always the crown jewel. You know, in Olympus world, the IBIS is just strong. You know, for videos and for photos. But you know, similarly, you know, there are other people who are really great at something else. You know, like continuous focusing, maybe. I'm not sure who's the crown at the moment. It could be either Sony or Canon in terms of continuous tracking focus, and either one of them will be the best, you know. So it's hard to say that which one can take over the entire world. I can't really say that, and but I do hope, you know, in 20, 30 years time, we're still gonna see a variety of brands. I still love. I still live in my childhood dream. You know, when I used to go to a camera store in Hong Kong, I still seeing like 15, 20 brands on the shelf. You know, and lots of different cameras, different style, different shapes, different sizes, and films. You know, even films. You know, the sad thing about film is, you know, you don't see films these days. All you see is like few rolls, you know, here and there. You know, the old fridge in the camera store is gone. You know, they don't stock films anymore, and it's kind of sad things, but it's the same thing. You know, it kind of, you know what I mean. Yeah, if you're starting to lose everything, and you just go into a store, all you see is just kind of one. It's weird, you know, and so hopefully that day won't come. That's what I'm saying. Capitan, hello. I'm currently shooting with the EM5 Mark II, and the only thing I don't like is the result about ISO 1600. However, DxO PL4 Photo Lab 4 basically unlocks the camera to a new possibility. Yeah, you are quite right there. Who hasn't tried Photo Lab 4? Which I did a demo, and a live demo, and also a review on the software. The DxO Photo Lab 4 is insane. The noise reduction really does help micro four third shooters, not just Olympus, but in general. Whether you're going to be shooting with Panasonic or Olympus, try DxO Photo Lab 4. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. It really does clean up most of the noises. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Check out my review instead of me saying it again. And I cleaned up a few of my images in ISO 4000, and it just made it look like ISO 400. You know, it's that good. You know, I'm not joking. You have to try to see it. I'm not trying to sell it, but you have to try. You have to see it to believe it. Tapper reviews, and 54 self-taught photographer. Back in the days, large aperture were mainly about being able to use decent shutter speed in lower light. That is absolutely correct. That is exactly what I said, and we opened up wider aperture just because we needed the light for the film, right? You know, and it's not about bokeh. It really wasn't about bokeh at all. It's more like a byproduct of it, you know, and it's nothing to do with that. Yeah, and similarly, if you look at a lot of street photography, you know why people shooting f8 in street photography in the film days is because they need the depth of field, and also zone focus, of course. You know, that's another technique they use. They stop down the lens so they get greater depth of field. They can just snap things, but at the same time they can absorb the environment to actually see the surrounding, because the street photography is all about the stories, right? All about, you know, these obviously subject in focus, but also about the surrounding, what's happening there, you know, what caused that scene to happen. You know, you need a lot of elements in that frame, and by blurring things out, you get rid of that. You know, that's why in the full frame world they stop down to f8, not just because they need to use zone focus to, you know, to be quicker, but also to include as much details as possible. But the good thing about Micro Four Thirds is we can actually shoot at f2.8 or even f4, kind of that range, and using hyperfocus, because we got such a great depth of field. We can still use a bigger apertures to maintaining the same depth of field and absorbing more light at the same time. So we can use lower ISO or using or higher shutter speed. So that's the benefit of Micro Four Thirds in the street photography scene, because it's actually pretty cool. And as a young student, back in the 90s, I used to shoot slide film and the f3. My favorite lenses were the 22.8 for landscape, street, and architecture. F3 is an iconic camera as well. I love the f3, especially with the high viewfinder thing. After a small detour using the Nikon 1 system, the Nikon 1 is such a sad system. You know, I think it's a pretty cool one inch system, but it just didn't live long enough. It just kind of completely die off, and I like the idea, but I think that Nikon never really did a good job in marketing it and are pushing into the market. They can't. I think at the same time they deliberately handicap the system just because they worry that system could become popular and kind of cannibalize its own DSLR market, which I think is a bit short-sighted for that matter. And they either go for it or don't go for it. Don't just introduce as a supplement system, and that's exactly what Sony did. Sony ditched their DSLR and went straight full steam on mirrorless. Same as Olympus, just went straight to mirrorless. You know, when you divert your attention, that's when the product fails, because they don't have full attention, and then and that, you know, similar to the early kind of mirrorless system from Canon, you know, the M series as well, the another M, and then they never really kind of popular, just because I think they never really push a lot of give a lot of attentions and budgets for R&D. They have the bodies, but they never really had the lenses for it, and it just sad just to see that type of product being introduced, but not giving attention and love to it. And but things has changed now. Nikon has kind of gone back to the mirrorless now, but they're now concentrating on full frame. They may introduce an APS-C. Actually, no, they have an APS-C. Really, I can't remember now. Is it Set 50? I think it's APS-C, right? And then the Canon also, they reinventing the M system again, and so that's good. You know, they finally gone back to it, so they will have some sort of mirrorless kind of lower end offerings. Ooh, the 12 f2. That's the lens I got, isn't it? That's the 12mm f2. That's this beast here. I love this boy here. This is my go-to for street and landscape stuff, because it's a really cool, and obviously the size is, you see how small it is, very compact. High quality, really high quality. I love the rendering of this lens if you stop down. is really good, very sharp as well, and 75 1.8 of course, and that's one of the sharpest lenses you can get in the Micro Four Thirds system. Let's read. Who can know that your phone number but not know you're busy at this time? That was about the phone call earlier, yeah? I'm pretty sure it's just one of those marketing calls. How can people stop this marketing call? Seriously, they keep calling me, yeah? I just say, oh, is it Mr. Cheng speaking? He said, yes. I heard you just have a car accident. I said, yeah, that was about 12 years ago. Why are you calling me 12 years later? I think you're a little bit late, mate. And they just hung up. It's still there. They keep calling me about my car accidents about 12 years ago. Why would they do that? And don't they have a database? I don't know. They might have bought someone's database. That's 12 years old, and telling that I have a car accident, but never show the year. It drives me nuts. I'm telling you. Marco was sitting at the release event of the EM1DX Mark III at the local shop. Grabbed into my bag and I got my EM1 Mark II attached to the 40 to 152.8. Compared the size and weight, silence in the room. I love that. I would love to see the reaction from those people. That would be cool, isn't it? You just compare the size of the thing. Oh, Vicky's in the house. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Amazon, hello there. I'm a beginner in my country, Brazil, and only Canon officially exists. Sony announced its withdrawal and Nikon has already done. Do you think that this is a decisive factor in choosing where to start? Well, first of all, yes and no. These days, lucky we have internet, so it's not the end of the world. I mean, to be quite honest, a lot of my stuff that I use, I bought from abroad because they just don't exist in the UK, and often in the States actually, and so I order from there. So we have internet. I guess that if you can get them is not really a matter, but I think to the point, when you really want to, if you're a professional, you really need to have something with a service places that you can repair or fix your kit if it does run into problems. At least if you've got questions, and you can ask them. However, and again, internet again, and these days we can help quite a lot in online. So like if you want to join the Olympus family, there are Olympus users around the world, and you can join my group and Facebook, See the World. It's not dedicated Olympus group, but there are a lot of Olympus users there. Even this channel, you can always drop me a line. If I can help you, I will help you, telling you what to do and things like that. But in terms of physical repair, and obviously you may want to look into it and see whether any local shops or any places within your country can repair or service a certain brand of cameras. You don't need official stuff, because once you pass the warranty, you got to pay anyway. So like it doesn't really matter whether it's going to be official a Canon or whatever brand. You just have to make sure someone can fix your stuff. But if you're a beginner, I don't think it matters too much, because quite frankly, a lot of the cameras these days would last, and then no matter what brand you use, they tend to last years and years and years, unless you dip it into water, drop it, or something like that. That's another thing. But if you are careful with your system, and it should last. So you shouldn't really worry too much. Just get a system that fits you the most in terms of usage, portability, like portability, like whatever is in your priority. If you want lightweight system or you want high resolution systems, it's something that you have to ask yourself what sort of thing you want. And if you do think that Olympus is the way to go, then you can go with Olympus. And if you think whatever Fuji, Canon, Nikon is the way to go, then yeah, it's there for you. But yeah, it's okay to be to explore different options. Like I said, just earlier, you have to try it. If you do have a camera store local to you, you should put the camera in your hands just to feel it, just try it to see whether it's a good system in your hand, just to feel it in general, just to whether it can connect to you as a photographer, and then you can make a decision whether it's a good thing or not. Okay, and expanding. Expanding Explorer says, I bought a used EM10 from a friend to capture and document all of it about 3 years ago. It's a compact for backpacking, hiking, living out of a van when traveling all over the USA with a partner. Yeah, you know what? I keep hearing time and time again how good the EM10 actually is. Right, I don't have to actually say it because during the 2 weeks that I had the EM10 Mark IV, and I love it. You know, I can't say that is any inferior in terms of image quality compared to my EM5, which is like way more advanced cameras compared to EM10. And the only difference, obviously, there are a couple of pro features in EM5. Obviously, they're also weather sealed as well, which the EM10 isn't. But in terms of just a camera, you know, and the EM10 is brilliant. You know, it's got great color, just like the rest of the LMD family, and it's got a lot of features. And not that it's featureless, it's full features as well. It's got a lot of stuff you can do with that thing. And video may not be as good as the EM5 Mark III because the Mark III has the hybrid AF. You know, you can do proper tracking on the EM5 Mark III, but if you just basically backpacking, you know, going travel, you know, this is good if you're on the budget, and especially the size is light, you know, 340 grams, 349 gram, I think. Gosh, how do I remember these numbers? And anyway, 349 gram is the whole camera body with the battery, without the SD card, but SD card, what, 2 gram? And just slot it in. And so it's a lightweight system. So you could put in the backpack, you really don't feel a thing. And it doesn't take up so much space as well. So it's great for that purpose. So I can see that, you know, and you must have enjoyed that trip, mate. Nigel, I just want to say hi and thanks for your help in putting me a system together around my EM5 Mark II. Keep safe and look forward to your future content. Cheers from sunny Sussex. You have sun there? I envy you now. Like, it's dark, dull, rainy, horrible, windy, cold outside my house at the moment. Yeah, I hate it. But lucky you got sun there. But thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for supporting the channel as well by always coming in here and say hi to me. And yeah, that's awesome as well. Thank you for that. Vicky is here. Yes, Vicky. I always love Vicky. David Bailey is great for Pro Talk, and he points out that the monkey can take great photograph. And I will see if I find that photo for you. Oh, where is it? Let me see. I may have it somewhere. Vicky, this is for you. If I can't find it in the next 20 seconds, I am going to send it to you separately. I hope I can find it because it's something that I think that you will like. Right. If I can find it, I'm not sure if I can find it now. Oh, I got it. Oh, you're gonna love me now, Vicky. You're gonna love me. Right. David Bailey said monkey can take photograph, right? There you go, Vicky. This is for you. This is for you. Okay. Let me just shrink it a little bit. So National Geographic has the OM1 camera there. You know that it shows that how easy you can use the camera. The OM camera is great. It's fun, right? It's just so cool. That's brilliant. Oh, there you go. That's for you. There you go. Monkey with the camera. Willy Billy. I was a Canon shooter back in the film days, and my first DSLR was the Pentax. But I damaged the CCD trying to clean. Oh dear me, you didn't. What did you do? Did you try to push it or something? You know, they're actually quite tough to damage. If you talking about actually scratching it, that's another thing. But they are actually quite tough, and unless you are using some very abrasive method to do it. Oh dear me. But yes, having said that, you know, you're right there. The Olympus, the ultrasonic thing, I keep call me an Olympus ambassador. I don't even know the what it's called, you know. And yeah, whatever you turn it on, the sensor just shakes off the dust and the moist. You know, that is cool. And yeah, I I tried it, but putting a drop of water onto the sensor. It just disappears. It's actually pretty cool. Don't try it at home, you know. And just because I said it, I just curious, just to try it, especially on the EM1 Mark III, the EM1X. I'm not sure. I think the EM5 Mark III has the same thing. It's got basically it's the enhanced version of it, and it's the latest one. So it does shakes off the moisture in quite well, much better than the older system, and it's actually pretty cool. I do find it quite exciting just to watch it disappear. And psst, woo! Maybe next time I'll try and do a macro high speed shot of it, and then maybe I can show you guys, and that'll be quite cool. Continue. Okay, years later, now the EM10 is holding me back with a desire to start making video. Not to mention it whistles and the stabilizers making everything wiggle. The Wow Capture G9 is arriving today. So you got a G9 for video. Well, I wouldn't say no to that, because G9 has pretty amazing video features, right? It's got the 4K 60. It's got pretty decent bitrate, even though it hasn't got the same options as the GH5. But it's a very capable hybrid camera. Having said that, I think that the Olympus is pretty cool as well, especially the EM1 Mark III these days. Have the latest firmware allows it to have the RAW capture. This is something I will show you guys in a very near future, because I'm actually going to compile a video to tell you the difference and also the benefit of using ProRes RAW. But unless you are a dedicated video guy, it may not be an option for you. But just to tell you that the ProRes RAW is freaking amazing, and I'm not joking. It's unbelievable. You know, the amount of details that it holds within a file, and the dynamic range coming out from it is unbelievable. I never thought I would see that from an OMD camera, and that's how insane it is. Just by capturing raw data from the sensor, it's just crazy. It's crazy. I'm not sure you saw my my Christmas video. You know, just Sunday past, and it was shot in ProRes RAW, and then the background light in normal situation will be completely blown, and I was managed to actually get all the detail back from the back. Because of shooting ProRes RAW, and that's how useful it is in terms of pulling the highlight back and boosting the shadow. And it's essentially almost like a raw photo, and it's how much flexibility you get. Not quite to the same level, but it's getting there. But having said that, you know, you have to wait for my video to talk about it, because I do find a couple of things that that will be included in the near future, because the ProRes RAW is still being developed, and also compatibility issues on software wise, not about the camera, but the software compatibilities and other issues. And but I'll talk about all that, because I did a lot of tests since the firmware came out, and I've been using my Ninja 5 to record stuff just to test as much as possible before I can tell you something about it. So it's pretty amazing. I can tell you that the ProRes RAW is sick. It's really, really cool. Later, saw British photography legend Barry Leggington, Olympus E1 ad shot. Yeah, and the Sahara Desert, and just bore my blood to be an Olympus shooter. That ads can be seen on YouTube if you haven't. Go and check that out, mate. Go and check that out. I think a lot of Olympus adverts have been quite cool in the past, and then it really does make you want to try the camera, right? And this is how good a good commercial is. You know, if you can really drive your blood boiling, and then it can try to drive your passion, kind of like really open up your heart and just kind of get you out as, yes, photography here, photography's here. This is the camera, you can capture that thing. That would be quite cool. You know, that's I believe is the best commercials ever. And just like some of the Apple, I'm gonna have to praise Apple. Apple does have some kind of thing about filming their commercials, not just about the way they say things, but is the visual. You know, the visual does kind of make an ordinary product looks expensive, you know, even though they are quite expensive. But you know what I mean. You know, they just make it look extra expensive. Make it look like a just worth the price. And from a visual point of view, you know, I think creativity wise, they are really, really awesome. You know, and I always admire just kind of dissecting the advert and thing, just to kind of understand the way behind it, you know, just see things, you know, in a completely different perspective. Hello there, and I can't read your name because it's in Russian or something, and sorry about that. But still, waiting for my EM10 Mark X with face detection autofocus to replace my EM10 first. And don't need upper semi-pro features of the EM5, but a semi-pro with CDAF is painfully ridiculous in 2020. I don't think so. I don't think so. And but I do at the same time get what you mean though. Who doesn't want hybrid AF? This is actually pretty cool for tracking stuff. Because sometimes I think that EM5 may be an overkill for a lot of people. Just like, you know, who just said about backpacking earlier, and I'm just trying to go back to it now. I can't find it now. Sorry. But anyway, just like one of the earlier comments about the backpacking thing, and he's perfectly fine with the EM10. You know, that shows that the EM10 is a capable camera. You can take great photographs with it. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you really do want the tracking side of it, you have to draw the line somewhere, right? You know, if from a company, from a business point of view, they have to differentiate the product line. If they throw in a hybrid AF or EM10, then it would not make the EM5 any more appealing than it is. And so, you know, never say never. Maybe at some point when the feature list on the EM5 gets so advanced, then maybe at that time the EM10 will get the hybrid AF. But I think contrast AF is actually good for its own intended purpose. Remember, contrast detect, if you don't shoot moving things, contrast detect is a very, very accurate, the most accurate autofocus system you can get. And if you know that the hybrid AF system, it doesn't always use the face detections in the sensor. Like the EM1 series, for instance, if you're just purely shooting single mode, single AF, SAF, and it's always going to be in hybrid. Always going to be in contrast detect until you start to turn to CAF, and that's when you're starting to use the face detection on, and video that is now by default is going to be using face detection, and unless you go outside the area and you're starting to use contrast detect. But other than that, it's actually pretty darn amazing. I think the speed is actually not slow by any means. I don't think so, and it only starting to show is insufficient when you're starting to have moving subjects. So if that is your primary reasons why they're thinking about having the face detection AF, then well, I think you should get a faster camera to do it, because even EM5, I think if you really want to capture sports and moving subjects, I think you need a more faster camera actually. So you may actually want to consider EM1, to be quite honest. So if that's the only reason for that, I think that you may want to consider the bigger system. But in terms of capability wise, I don't think the contrast detect is any worse than the PDAF, because PDAF is only giving you the ability to track moving subjects better than contrast, and obviously faster than CDAF. But in terms of portrait, you know, and if you do a lot of people portrait modes, and CDAF is definitely fine, more than fine actually. I have actually gone through this already. Sorry about that. And I realized this week looking at cameras and that my new Sony a7 II with 35 look exactly like my 1990 Nikon FM2N and 1974 Rollei SL35. Been using the same camera for 50 years. Awesome. Okay. Michael. Oh, you're replying to Zebru. Okay. Right. Stanislav. Hello there. How are you, mate? I need a compact size camera with a larger sensor with better performance than a 1 2/3 inch sensor, compact and interchangeable lens option. It was 2011. Oh dear. What was that system? That Pentax Q. Pentax Q was that little thing, isn't it? That little thing with the interchangeable lenses. And I actually find it quite cool, to be honest. It's more a novelty thing, but I have to praise Pentax for really trying that system. And well, remember earlier we talked about the Nikon 1 series and also the Canon M system, and they are kind of like the orphan within a family, like no one give them love, right? They're invented, they made, but no one really cares. But Pentax put a lot of effort into getting the Q system going. They have multiple iterations of the camera. They have introduced a full like set of lenses to complement the system. They even introduced a lot of accessories to complement the systems. They really went for it. And I really admire a company do that sort of thing. When they invent something, come on, give them some love, give them some push, give them some budget to do things, right? Do it right. The first generation is going to be shit all the time because they are first generation. You need to improve it after customer feedback, after things like that. So you have to make sure, whatever you put out into the market, give them time to mature. You can't just kill it off because the first generation sucks. You can't do that. You have to learn from mistakes, right? And so I remember the Pentax Q system. It's the tiny SLR, DSLR. Was it? It was no mirrors, and it was mirrorless camera. So it's actually pretty darn amazing, that thing. My colleagues told me about new mirrorless 4-third system. I went to shop, and the EPL2 appeared exactly what I wanted. Yeah, that was the time. So that was the switcher camera that I mentioned earlier. That is cool. The EPL2. That's for you. Hello, Ira, and I bought an EPL1 to experiment with mirrorless. Now I have two EM1s. I bought from my friends, and they when they upgraded to the Mark II. Do you enjoy the EM1? The EM1 is magnificent, right? And it's still a very capable professional grade camera. It may not have the same speed as the Mark II or the Mark III for that matter, but it's a capable system. And like I said, form factor wise, the Mark 1 and Mark II is not very much difference. It has the same comfortable grip. It's got weather sealing, and I think the only thing you probably miss is the higher burst rate, perhaps. The hybrid sensor is not full coverage or not 80% coverage. It's only restricted to the center portion of the sensor, but it's enough in most cases. But other than that, it's a very capable camera as well. It's I still see a lot of my people following and using the EM1 Mark 1. Lee, I have the decoration kit on my Pen F. The tip soft release comes unscrewed very easily. I nearly lost it twice. I found this laying and bought the Loctite. Yeah, you can use Loctite and a medium strength. Yes, that is very true. However, I haven't lost it yet. I have been using it, and the one tip is to do it, not over tighten it, but you hold the dial and just turn it, because you know that this is a rotating dial. So if you keep turning it, it will not actually tighten it. So you just have to make sure that you hold it and just tighten it ever so slightly more, and that will get it quite secure. But having Loctite definitely helps, and that's a good tip. So thanks, Lee. That's a very good tip for those who want to have a soft release put on the pen. Speaking of winter sealing, OM Digital really needs to release updated 1.8 primes with weather sealing to go with their weather sealed cameras. Most people don't want to pay big pro primes. Yeah, I wouldn't say that you're wrong there, because you can see the likes of Fuji are starting to do something like that, right? And I think Nikon are also starting to do that. So never say never. Obviously, we don't know what the future holds for OM Digitals, and hopefully that will be something for them to consider. And after hearing your comment, and we've seen the roadmap, we know what to come in the near future, but just hard to imagine what sort of lens is gonna come our way in the next 18 to 24 months. But at the same time, I'm excited whatever it comes. But I think that some smaller weather seal primes could be a good things to have, and from a consumer point of view, as you said, if I have an EM5, it's a small compact weather seal system, and I don't want to have the big bulky pro lens. Yeah, having a 1.8 weather seal version may be the answer for it. But having said that, any sort of weather seal thing is going to make the lens a little bit bigger. So it's not going to be as compact as what you have now on the normal 1.8 version. So the weather seal version is going to be bulkier, slightly bigger. Oh, what happened there? Anyway, so that's the thing that you just have to remember. If that day does come, don't complain that it's slightly bigger than the older 1.8. Yeah. And Marco, my mum still has them in the living room cabinet. I love to shoot the HF. It was the go-to cam. I never shoot with him when I was a child. Oh, that must brought you so much memory and about the camera, you know. And I remember my dad used to photograph us, as when I was a kid, using the OM cameras. You know, it's something, right? You know, and sadly my dad's not around anymore, but every time, when you look at something, look at the picture, you just kind of remember that moment there. It's something that money can't buy, like no matter how inferior now, if you look at the camera in terms of functionality compared to modern day cameras, but it's not about function, right? It's not about how advanced it is. Photography is a very different thing. It's a lot of emotions, attachments, it's a lot of sentimentals, reasons, values to it. And that goes with the camera. Because like, if a photographer uses a camera for so long, they kind of become them, part of them. It's hard to imagine someone let a camera go and without feeling sad about it. When I kind of ditched my Canon, and I have to tell you that I did feel a little bit emotional in a way, even though I switched to Olympus, and it's kind of like a bright start of my next chapter of my photography. But having said that, I've been using Canon for like 12 years, and since film days. Actually, if you include film days, it'll be like 15 years. So like, so it's a long time, and I've been so used to the system. Some Canon people know me, and in the Canon community, I was featured in the magazines and multiple times in Asia and also like in America, and I miss it. I achieved a lot with the Canon system, but when I make a decision to move away, it's not a simple decision like most people think. As a pro, it's very different when you move from one system to another. So when I sold the Canon, it did kind of feel that you've been with me for so long, and it's hard to let go in a way. And that's why I still kept a couple of lenses from Canon, and I can adapt them to the Micro Four Third now if I really want to, but I just kept them there for sentimental reasons and something that I did achieve with those lenses, so that I just don't want to get rid of them. Camera, it's nothing. Cameras is a tool. It's especially digital. They die. Not like the film cameras. Film cameras can last. Digital cameras these days. And they, especially from a professional point of view, because we shoot so much, it will die. It will die in 2-3 years time. It's almost guaranteed it's gonna die. And don't worry about. I know someone from Brazil earlier said about the reliability. Yeah? Don't worry about it. From a consumer level, you're not gonna photograph like 100,000 frames a year. That's not you. You don't shoot that amount of photographs, but professional do. But if you think about the shutter life, for most digital cameras, if you use mechanical, they always rated for like 150, 200, 250,000 clicks, and then it will basically vanish. So if you think about that sort of numbers, a professional who shoots over 100K photos a year, and basically 2.5 years later, bye-bye, the camera will be gone. So this is different, but in the film days, we don't shoot the same quantity. We never shoot that sort of quantity. And even if you do, being a film cameras, and it's easy to fix. You replace the shutter quite easily, and so you can just send it to the service center. You have the shutter replaced. These days, it's complicated. You got the circuit board there. You got the sensor all welded together. It's not as easy to repair as the older mechanical stuff, and so it's chicken and egg. You want flexibility, modern stuff. You got the digital system, but if you want something you can use for life, and unfortunately, I don't think digital, especially from a professional point of view, is going to be that sort of a camera anymore. Even though, like I said, the Pen F would be my camera that I will hold for life. But I know one day, if I keep shooting the way I shoot, it will go. But having said that, like I said, I love this camera to bits, so it will be here with me for the foreseeable future, that's for sure. And Raceway, hi there. I bought an E520 because my friend worked at Olympus and so got a good deal. But I quickly fell in love with the color that the Olympus produced and smaller package, lenses in particular. You are up my street there, mate. Ray, I'm going to remember your name because color science, yes. That's one thing I've been repeating myself all my live stream, all my videos, and talking about Olympus has one of the best color science around. And I would say between Canon and Olympus, these two are the two companies that I really admire their colors, especially skin tones, full stop. Skin tones, I think, really they are just gorgeous, you know, like they're so natural, they're not overly saturated in one direction or the other, you know, like some system they be very heavy on magenta, some may be heavy on green, some may be heavy on blue. It's hard to correct skin tone. So like if you shoot a lot of people, if you do it as a profession, you really want something that can give you the perfect skin tone to start with. Then you can manipulate the rest of the colors after. To start up with good skin tone is almost like a fundamental thing for a camera company to achieve. I know that Sony is trying very hard to do their color profiles now and to match the skin tones like Olympus and Canon. So I think the latest cameras now they're trying to do the new color profiles, especially for videos. There's something to look forward to, but it's quite interesting now they're taking up the game to finally realize the skin tone is important after all these years. But at least they're acting, you know, unlike some other companies that's still not going that way, you know, they're still believing that skin tone is perfect. But I'm telling you, you know, don't listen to me. Ask a lot of the professional photographers out there who shoot weddings, portraits. Listen to the words, and then see what they say about, you know, color science, how important it is for skin tones, and they will tell you exactly why that is. Okay, the brand dominance give me strength. They all do the same thing. Well, they all have the same absolute crap. The only brand I have used is Canon. I haven't used is Canon. None of them had ticked all the boxes. Neat choice. Absolutely, unique choice, definitely. And Tamara, tell us what YouTube Kimber is. What's it? YouTube Kimber? Huh? What? Is it Kimmy or Kimber? I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, you can come back to me. I'm trying to understand what that was. Maybe I just completely being ignorant about that word there, Kimber. Ken, learning to process black and white in the late 80s in high school, and the first camera my mother bought for me became much more interesting. So in the early 70s, I got serious, start with the Fujica ST705. Whoa, that's the SLR, isn't it? That's the old tank SLR. That's a very boxy camera. I kind of like that camera, actually. Turn the call around on them, start selling them your photography services, and glad you call perfect. Right. Okay, Rick, thank you very much. The player character looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Thanks for being you," with hearts popping out of his eyes. Yeah. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. No, thank you for being here. You know, like I said, for my last few videos, and it has been a very challenging year, and for a lot of people, I know for a lot of people who may have lost their loved ones, and in this really horrible pandemic year. For me personally, you know, business isn't great, of course. You know, like I lost almost all my business, you know, overnight. You know, and as soon as the lockdown came in, you know, cancellation flew in like flooding in like a hurricane. You know, it just basically killed my business, and within like 24 hours, literally. So it's hard. It was hard, and so I kind of lost my way a little bit in the early part of this year. And you know, if you haven't seen my other lives, it's still in the archive on this channel. That I almost quit. I did almost quit this doing whatever I'm doing, photography, YouTube, whatever. You know, I was that depressed, and couple the fact that my dad's health was deteriorating and finally passed away in July, and it's just a mixture of things that kind of got me thinking, and what the heck am I doing in 2020, and there's no business, there's no money anywhere, and the whole saga just went, just kind of exploded, and and also, of course, Olympus as well, and being an ambassador with them, it shocked me, and a little bit. But having said that, I have faith in the company. I have faith in the new directions. It's not that I was going to worry too much about it, but more to do with kind of like the combination of things that are happening at the same time that kind of got me to that point. Like when you reach that kind of boiling point, just start bubbling. You kind of think, really, what am I doing here? Am I doing everything right? And what is going on with me? Like I'm not creating, I'm not making videos, I'm not photographing. So like I'm just sitting at home eating. It's just not good. It's not that good feeling having been so busy for the last few years and suddenly just on debt. It's never great, but. It really was you guys, and I kept doing live, and for the last, I don't know, since lockdown, I've been doing live stream, right? And it's because of this live stuff, kind of kept me in the scene, and time again, because you guys keep coming back to say hi to me, and I that really got me going, and I thought, I do look forward to my live session every Wednesday, just because I know that you guys are going to be there, talking to me, one way or the other, talk about crap, I don't know, something, and I'm just happy to see all of you typing your comments and talking to me, and showing support is more than enough for me to have a reason to be here. Let alone making videos. So this is really good. So I appreciate. So I really do appreciate, like you, all of you, being here for me. So I can't really say more thank you than that. So Ivers, I wish Olympus would not limit their camera with video recording limit to 30 minutes is not enough. Right, there's a couple of reasons for that, and you may or may not aware the 30-minute limit, because anything that go past the 30 limits is considered as a broadcast cameras. So for a dedicated video cameras, you can remove that that limit, because if they are registered as a broadcast camera. But if you do that, it has cost implications to the camera, right? It may be to you, because ultimately the camera manufacturers may actually pass that cost to you, so the camera become more expensive to buy. There's licensing issues, and there's a lot of things going on there. So it's not as simple as removing the 30 minutes. 30 minutes is considered as a consumer video cameras. So you're not taxing taxing the manufacturer for making as a commercial product, so to speak. So you never know, maybe one day Olympus does thinking that they may release a video cameras. You never know, and that may have a 30-minute override, and maybe they will just do what Panasonic used to do with the GX4, and they will ask you to pay, up front, and to remove that limit, because they have to pay the license for that, and so that would be a firmware update to kick off just kill off the limit there, so you can record longer than 30 minutes. So that's more of that thing that I'm just told you about. But to be quite honest, unless you are recording continuously for an event, it's unlikely you are going to go over 30 minutes. And for my thing, I never run through anything over 30 minutes. And all my film thing that you saw at the beginning of this stream there, I did a short film there, is sequences. Like you record things in sections, in clips. They are mostly going to be maximum like 4 or 5 minutes long, and then you're going to crop them to best bit, right? It's never going to be over 30 anyway. So for me, I don't think I never needed 30 minutes unless for broadcasting purposes. So that's very, very different thing altogether. But I know what you mean, but then hope you also understand as well, because it will have cost implications to the actual camera itself. So if you do that, depending on country, some may be higher than the other. So like if you one day that does appear, you know, don't scream back at me that I have to pay more money for that because that's the way it is. Unless Olympus or any other company decided to absorb the cost within it, but as you can see that the profit margin is getting thinner and thinner these days, so I'm not entirely sure whether they would like to absorb any more cost than they need than they necessary. Just started with an EM10 Mark III and Russian DDR Japanese vintage lenses, and now amazed with variable neutral density filters. Ooh, nice. You talk about video stuff. That is, hello there, how are you back? And I bought my EM5 Mark III for taking photos for web designer services and YouTube product reviews, which I am still working on getting sorted. It's a great starting, I'm telling you, the EM5 is underrated. It's definitely great YouTube starting videos. It's capable, small, lightweight, it's not ultra expensive, and it's portable. So you can actually do a vlog when you're outside, when you, let's say if you go into events and to cover some sort of launches, you rather have a small thing than a big thing, right? You know, and it's a very, very versatile thing, and people may not actually aware so much about it, but the EM5 is more than just a little still cameras, but it's way more than that. Especially the video function now is fully capable. It's just like the EM1 Mark II. And Lee, you're right, Jimmy. It does go around and around, and didn't try and over tighten it. Yeah. Okay, it is indeed time for dinner, Vicky. Vicky just said. I think it's nearly time to wrap up my today's stream as well. That is very good, but I'm just skimming through a lot of things now. And Leon, hello Leon. Got an EM5 Mark III from eBay in excellent condition, but thumb rest is coming loose. Obtaining Sugru glue to do my own molding thumb rest, and then the cones are completely advised on Rob Trek vlog. Ah, okay. I haven't got a problem with that thing. Where? Oh, my EOS, my EM10. That's EM5. You mean this little cover at the back here? And I haven't actually got a problem with it. I do notice one thing about the EM1 Mark II though, is that the rubber grip does come loose. And this rubber grip here, if you use it long enough or always hold it really tight, and over time, especially when you use it in the heat, and it does seem to expand. And once it expanded, and when you hold it tight together, it kind of rub off the glue with between the rubber and the actual camera body, and it will make it loose. I noticed that in my old, my other EM1 Mark II that's completely battered, and that one, the rubber glue basically you can peel it off. I can't do much about re-gluing it back because it is kind of stretched a little bit already, so I either have to replace it or just ignore it, and at the moment I'm ignoring it. But I know what you mean, so maybe you can actually just mold it back and just glue it back together. There are obviously other solutions there, but if you are still within warranty, you can actually send it back to Olympus and have it serviced, and they will get it repaired for you. And even better, if you got the in the UK at least, they have the service plan, which is, I actually think if you are very like to look after your kids, and the Olympus service plan is really worth considering. It may sound expensive to start with, but listen, as a pro, I service my cameras, right? You know, I service my camera and lenses to keep it working. So for a consumer, if you think about it, every so often, if you want to service your camera, just take it to your local camera store. They will charge you, I think it was at least £150 per lens, and at least for digital cameras, £150 to £180 per camera to service it, yeah, just to clean the joints, whatever, you know, just to look at, like, you know, maybe check out the seals and whatever they need to do, yeah, you know, clean the lens elements and whatever, just service it, so making sure in working, like perfect working conditions, and re-lubricating things. So that's expensive, right? You know, think about it. If you've got one camera, a couple of lenses, that will easily set you back 500 quid just to service them. And the Olympus service plan, I think it's only about £100 and something. You know, it starts from there. It's got 3 levels there. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember now. I had the top levels there, and so it allows you to send the camera and the lens back to the service center. They will literally refurbish the whole thing for you. So any grip that comes loose, they will re-glue it or replace it for you if it's just the glue, and the lens will be like it will come back like new. And any sort of marking or buttons that rub off, the painting, they will replace it for you. So it's actually pretty darn good value. So I'm not sure whether you have it in your country, and but UK we have their service plan, which is actually pretty amazing. They will have to they actually service in Spain, so it's not actually within UK. So I think the Spain service center is actually for Europe, for the entire Europe. And so if you got any problems, so you can just send it back within the service plan. You could just send the whole kit back, and within a week or so, 2 weeks, it'll come back like immaculate, which is really actually quite cool. Okay, last couple of comments, and I'm gonna have to wrap up. 2 years ago, my Sony Alpha broke down. I had to buy a new camera. Sony changed lens mount and decided to change system. I bought an EM10. It got knocked, and now I have that camera and 2 EM1 Mark IIs. So how do you find it changing from Alpha? Sony Alpha is not a bad camera, I have to say, and I just prefer Olympus way more. Rick Bear, keep going, and the Red 35 Jimmy live stream are what we need during the pandemic. Well, I am intending to keep this live stream on even without the pandemic. I think it's a good way to communicate, and also to get live feedback from you guys, and also to hear from you in general, just like meeting friends, right? And it may not be a full-blown Zoom call, but at least I can see your text like almost instantly, and I can react to it. And I think it's actually a pretty good way to communicate from thousands and thousands of miles away, and it's really, really awesome experience, and I do really enjoy it. You might not be aware that in the additional tax on the cameras that run over 30 minutes is no longer a thing, not additional tax or licenses. Oh, okay, you corrected me then. Thank you very much for that. I'm not entirely sure though for any other countries. Is it just for the UK though? And well, that's what I've been told anyway. So I'm only kind of reiterating things that I've been told for that. So if it's not the case anymore, that may not be the case. So thank you for the correction. That will be good to know, at least. So in that case, that means maybe a reason to see some changes then in the future. We shall see. We shall see. Sorry to hear about the bad stuff, and been a terrible year for me too. Probably everyone. Let's hope the more promising 2021. Indeed, it is. I'm looking forward to that, and it's only 3 weeks to go now, the 2020, and so that will be the end of the year, and that would be it. And I'm late so party folk. No worry, Christian. You are always welcome here. You're welcome to the house. And don't forget, guys, and just last thing before I wrap up is that 2020 competition, the photo competition, See the World competition is still alive and kicking. And 3 more weeks before you submit your thing, and you will be very, very happy to win some of the prizes, because they are exquisite, very expensive, especially for the Photographer of the Year award. You get a really lovely carbon tripod from 3-Legged Thing, and also if you enter your video, you also get the same carbon tripod kit but for videos, and that's amazing. That's expensive, I'm telling you. That is a really expensive kit there. Really, really awesome. And Lord Ahab, and not try variable ND and modern lenses, but using Olympus EM10. Okay, you talk about this stuff again. Cool. UK for sure. I suspect the real reason for the limit is potential overheating for most cameras now offering 4K videos. Probably more applicable to Sony cameras. I'm only just saying. And to be quite frank, I've been using Olympus for shoot 4K. Everything's 4K in my channel, and all the projects I've been doing in 4K. I shoot in high heat, like really at intense heat in Hong Kong, and earlier this year, and even at weddings, and I shot some videos there in like 32, 36 degrees, like direct heat with the black camera. You can imagine that in a 4K. It really never ever overheats, not like Sony cameras. I also had a couple of Sony cameras, and seriously, they overheat even in freezing cold weather. And after well, I don't have the big A7 series, but I have the RX 100, and they're just insane. You know, the series every 4 minutes they just overheat, and I have to cool it completely before I can reuse it again, and it's a nightmare about overheating. So I can kind of understand that, but Olympus is pretty good for heat management, especially for the In-1X, because it's got a heat sink behind the bloody sensor. So actually pretty cool there. Right, okay, and Marco, thank you. Have a nice evening, and everybody. That is good. So that's a nice message to end the day. So thank you once again for joining me for my usual Wednesday coffee time with me, although I haven't got a coffee here today. And as usual, today, for the past 3 or 4 weeks now, I've been doing this over 2 hours. You can see that my voice is starting to go, and so I'm still talking. So that shows how much I can talk about things. But anyway, I do enjoy this live stream a lot, and I do once again thank you guys for joining me, coming here, say hi to me, even typing a few words like Christian you just did. I don't mind you're late, and better late than never, right? So it's always good to see you guys here and talk about all things photography, all things Micro Four Thirds, all things Olympus. So like, I don't really mind whether you're coming from different background, you know, and you're all welcome here to express your feelings toward photography. So it's really amazing, it's really fun, right? And hope that this vibe will continue to grow, and more people join, the better, the more the merrier. So it's really, really awesome. So I actually ran out of time to go through the list that you guys submitted about today's topic, to be honest, and I just chatted away with you guys the comment in today's live instead of going through the community post. But never mind, next week we're gonna have another topic to talk about, and you guys are welcome back, and hopefully I will see you all next week again, and stay tuned for my next video. I hope I have enough time to make this Sunday's video, and because of so many things happen in the house in the last couple of weeks. Christmas is coming, you know, and my kid's birthday just came, and it just drives me nuts now. I ran out of time to do a lot of things, so I hope that I will be able to just do the Sunday videos quick enough so I can release it. If not, I'll release it on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, and you guys enjoy your evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Stay safe. It is stay safe, even though that we have a vaccine coming, but still stay safe. You know, I'm not going to get mine until summer. So yeah, remember, health is important. So like I will see you guys all soon, and enjoy yourself. Take care, guys. Bye for now.